Hello, my name's Richard. I'm the pastor at the King's Church, and I'm going to talk today about dog poo. Yes, that's right, you heard me, dog poo. I haven't lost my mind, I don't think, but stay with it. The reason I'm talking about dog poo is that on Facebook just recently, on one of the local chat pages, there was a lot, and I mean a lot, of bother about dog poo. And it was very contentious and it caused a real stir. So I thought, well, if people are talking about it, I'm going to talk about it too. So I'm going to talk today about dog poo. The problem is, well, let's say the problem isn't that dogs poo. We know dogs poo, right? The problem is when dog owners don't pick up their dog's poo. Because dog poo isn't nice, and we've all had to, I won't go into details, but we've all had to deal with it, and we've probably all trodden it at some point. We've had to, it gets everywhere, doesn't it? We've had to clean it off our shoe and probably other places where it just gets all over the place. And it's hard to clean. But the funny thing is, a cat can poo and bury it in your garden somewhere and it stinks, but that's okay. A fox can poo on your path, and, well, that's foxes. Ducks and geese, they poo by the pond, and you might walk through that when you go for a walk by the river or wherever. And cows poo in field, and that's just all accepted. That's okay. You never hear people talking about those kind of things on Facebook. But if a dog poos and his owner doesn't pick it up, oh my word, it's just a lot of bother. A lot of bother. And the reason why? Because if you're a dog owner, you need to be responsible and you need to pick up after your dog. Now, if I was in church and we weren't doing this digitally, I'm sure there'd be a lot of amens and yes, preach it, brother, by now. If not, anyway. Now, I am a reluctant dog owner, okay? Meaning that my children wanted a dog and we got one. And guess who does the walking? That's right, I do the majority of the dog walking. So, my dog, he's an interesting little character, as are all dogs, and he has this routine. I won't go into all the details, but he doesn't really have a same place every day, but it's more like he has to go through the same routine. And so he will sniff and sniff and sniff. Is this the right place? No. Is this the right place? No. Is this the right place? No. Is this the right place? Yes. And then he will do what he needs to do. Now, 99.9 times of the time I pick up after him because I've kind of learnt his way as well, so I kind of know when he's going to poo and I pick it up. I keep a constant supply of poo bags in my back pocket, and we're good to go. But I'll have a confession to you. Sometimes I am caught without a poo bag. Yes, there's my confession to you. And sometimes you have to kind of improvise, and sometimes you're left without any options. Sometimes it just gets left. I'll be honest with you, there was a time when my dog was a new puppy to us, and he had this thing was just running off in the park, and I could see he was doing what he needed to do, and I thought I'd better go and pick that up, and I went right across the other side of Victory Park, and could I find this thing? Could I? No. So I confess now, I've left one behind in Victory Park, if not two. And I don't say that proudly, I'm just saying, in reality, it's not always as simple as just picking up after your dog. It's not quite as simple as that. Now, I can imagine the reactions. This is going out online. Local church minister admits to not clearing up after his dog. I'm going to get hate mail through email, no doubt, and social media. Maybe I'll cause another stir. I don't know. Please don't troll me. Just hear me out. Hear me out on this, okay? There's always, when this kind of thing gets talked about, there's anger, there's judgment, there's people shaming, there's all kinds of things that goes on with this. But let me ask you a question. What does that kind of angry response achieve in this kind of situation? Do we think by being angry about it and sort of getting really upset and agitated and having a good old rant about it, that actually the world will no longer have poo in it? Let me tell you this, bit of wisdom from me today. We will always have poo. Poo will always be with us. It's how we deal with it is what matters. Does that sound cheesy? I hope not, but it's just a reality, okay? Now, this same applies to anything, really. We can moan about dog poo and people not picking it up. We can moan about Brexit. We can moan about not being able to get an appointment at the doctor's. We can moan about the traffic congestion in the town. We can moan about all these kind of things. Anything we can moan about. But actually, I don't know that moaning in itself really achieves anything. You could say, as Christians, well, maybe I'll pray about it. I'm going to pray about dog poo. I'm going to pray about these other things. But, well, I'll tell you this, actually, prayer, or I'll pray about it, is usually the Christian classic excuse for inactivity, meaning I'm not going to do anything about this. I'm going to pray about it, meaning I'm not going to do it. Okay, but let me tell you one thing that prayer might do for you in this situation. It might actually change you and your approach. So let me suggest a response, which applies not just to dog poo, but pretty much anything. Okay, here's a Christian response that we can bring to a lot of things in our world. First of all, we can challenge the problem. We can challenge that it is not right that dog poo is left on the pavement. And that's even worse, if I'm honest, when it's in the road, because there's a cyclist and you're going pretty quick and you go through and it's in the gutter. Oh, my goodness. It is wrong, okay? This is not good. It's not good at all. We can challenge that. But if that's as far as we get, then we've not quite gone the whole distance with the way I reckon Jesus challenges us to challenge these things, okay? So we identify the problem, sure. We speak it out, sure. But we also need to find ways and speak ways and minister ways of bringing good news to address the problem, to bring a solution to the problem, to bring an end to the problem by saying that through Jesus there's some good news that can change this for the better. And too often what we do is that we just moan about it. We just say, oh, this is a problem, I don't like it. We've identified the problem, but we also need to announce that there is good news that brings, through Jesus, that brings good news into this situation. Now, let me just speak about how this works with God. You know, we serve a God who is continually, and I mean continually, dealing with the mess that we fail to clean up ourselves or that we can't clean up ourselves. We call this grace. It's a church word. We say grace, but grace means undeserved favour. And we are continually not getting things 100%. And so we need God's grace, and He is continually dealing with our mess and our mistakes. If you don't believe me, just think to yourself, when was the last time you got your head down on the pillow and got to bed in the night and you thought to yourself, well, today I've just completely nailed being a human being. Just got everything spot on. I am the model human. I'm guessing none of us. But despite our tendency to not be perfect, God continually offers us undeserved favour. He's continually dealing with our mess that we leave behind in various different situations and circumstances and things we say and things we do. And He is coming along and bringing grace and dealing with our mess, our problems. So rather than just telling us what is wrong or telling us what to do, Jesus identifies our problems, but also gives us good news and a response and a way through and a way out and a way beyond those things, because that's the nature of God. Now, there's a story in the scriptures where Jesus is having a Passover meal, which was a Jewish meal, a very special celebratory meal. And things were soon to get messy in Jesus' life. He was soon to go and be crucified in Jerusalem, and things were pretty much already messy actually around him. And he was having this meal with his disciples round the table, and that included Judas, who was going to betray him, and I think he knew that at that time. And then he also had his other disciples with him who also, they disowned him, or they were going to disown him. And Jesus knew that He was God, and Jesus knew that He had all power and all authority. And knowing all those things, He gets up from the table, takes off his outer clothes, puts a towel around him, bends down and starts washing the disciples' feet. Now imagine the foot of a Middle Eastern man 2,000 years ago in a hot climate, in a dusty road with open-toed sandals, no doubt. And imagine the smell and the muck and the mess that would have been on their feet. It's quite likely that some of these guys had trodden in dog poo themselves and not even realised it. And Jesus gets down and He starts to wash His disciples' feet. That isn't His responsibility. That's not His thing to do. He's the rabbi, He's the teacher, He is God. He doesn't have to do these things. In fact, these guys, they should have taken care of their own feet, right? People should take care of their own stuff. But Jesus sets an example. He washes their feet. He cleans their mess. He lives out a parable of God's love and God's grace. And He says to them, now I've washed your feet. You are to wash one another's feet. The example set. Live in the grace of God, serving one another, dealing with each other's mess, forgiveness, love, and grace. These are the key characteristics of Jesus' followers. They're active things, not just words, but they are things that we do. They are things that we act and live out. They're things that we are part of our very being. And so we're to become these living parables, just like Jesus was there. As followers of Jesus, we are to bring God's challenging grace, his undeserved favour in the things that we do and the things that we say. Now back to the dog poo for a second. I hadn't forgotten about the dog poo. Have you forgotten about the dog poo? Now, if dog poo is a big deal for you, if you're a bit of a poo moaner, here's my challenge. Why don't you get some bags in your back pocket? I've always got some in my back pocket because I am a dog walker, yes. But if it's a problem for you, just get some bags and pick it up. Pick up some dog poo. You know, or when you're out and you see somebody who's not picking up the poo of their dog, give them a bag. Then you've given them the opportunity to do it, you know. And you might think to yourself, well, why should I? It's not my responsibility. And that's a fair response. But someone needs to take responsibility, right? Someone needs to clear up the mess. Someone needs to get down and get dirty with this. And Jesus calls us to offer God's radical grace. This doesn't deserve to be done, but it's going to be done. That kind of a living parable. He's calling us to be agents of him who forgives and brings grace and forgives all kinds of sins, cleans up all kinds of mess that comes through Jesus. He's calling us to be people of that way. Now, this is a metaphor for life. Okay, so I'm not suggesting that we all have to be poo pickers. All right, you'll be glad to hear that one of the criteria of being a Christian. I'm not saying now. We're not saying it's a statement of faith. You know, we believe certain things, and we also have to pick up poo, dog poo in the park. I'm not suggesting that all Christians have to have a supply of poo bags in their back pocket and say, you know, take up your bag and walk, kind of thing. But I am suggesting that Christians should be actively getting their hands dirty with the business of clearing up the mess of sin by ministering God's love and grace. Now that may come through words, that don't bring judgment but bring love instead. That may come through actions that don't bring condemnation. That may be, we may be called to wade into situations maybe in our family or in our friends and bring peace where there is strife. It may mean that we have to say, I'm actually going to accept, I'm not going to have to be right in this situation and back down, and for the sake of love, I'm just going to hold my tongue. You know, we are the ones who are called to pick up the pieces when others make mistakes, not in our own strength, but through God's love and through God's grace, bringing forgiveness and cleaning up mess where it needs to be cleaned. So I challenge you to find ways of living out good news. Find ways of clearing up the poo. Find ways of clearing up the poo. Did I just say that? No, I've been saying it for the last however many minutes. Yes, I challenge you to find ways of clearing up poo in this world and minister God's undeserved favour. You may need to get creative about that. You may need to be prayerful about that. And this is where prayer works. As we pray, God starts to change us and challenge us, and that's how you can minister that. He will speak to us. And so, yeah, we do speak out and we do complain and we do moan about the issues. I wouldn't call it moaning, but we speak out against things. But also we need to be people that offer good news to the situation, who address the problems of this world with good news and with grace and with love and with mercy, because that is the God we serve. So I say grace and peace to you in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. And let me just finally say, if you find ways of doing this and you put it into practice, then let me know. Share them with me, and I'd love to know some stories of how you put this into action. And so it's not just some words, but we actually start doing this stuff. Let me know. There's a link down there somewhere. You can find a link, I think it's down there, where you can share this. So don't forget to share this, and comment and like it. Thanks. It's down there somewhere. Okay, you got it.